All right, welcome back. Martin Folse here. We are in our continuing coverage of Tropical Storm Lee, and this thing's just a nuisance. I mean, it's sticking around. We don't want it around. It's like one of those bad little animals that sticks around your house and just stays at your door. And now, all you animal lovers, don't call me because I've fed them many, many times over the years. But the police chief is in the house, Todd Duplantis. How you doing, Todd?
Hey, doing fine.
Yeah, now you've been at the Office of Emergency Preparedness. Y'all been looking over things, and there's a lot of things that are being discussed. Give us your overview on things. You've been through all these storms before, too. What's your gut on this one?
Well, it looks like for this one, I see a lot of preparations. I was very impressed at OEP. We actually have a couple officers that are assigned to OEP that is they have call takers where the calls are coming in and it's going off to the appropriate categories such as public works, utilities, and I mean it's amazing how it's being handled over there. Very professional, and it's putting. What's happening is when trees are, if a call comes in, say for a tree being down, that call is relayed to the proper department, and then they properly put out on scene ASAP. And so I'm very impressed the way it's been happening over there, and everything's, even though I know we're dealing with a lot of wind, some wind here and some high waters and what have you, but it seems as though everything is going pretty good.
I gotta say, when we've been around in storms past, we would be seeing a lot more water at this point, so obviously the pumps, and I'm sure you've been right around the public works people, they got to be pleased so far with the way the pumps have functioned on a whole.
Yes. I know the officers, the shift right now that's currently on shift are riding around, and that's what they're doing. We're monitoring all of the locations of high water and what have you, and down tree limbs and so on, and they reporting it to the Unified Command Center at OEP, and it's getting addressed quickly as possible. I've heard, of high waters and they getting it over there, and they making sure the pumps are being properly working and what have you. So it seems to be definitely the Unified Command Center is definitely working very well, and I'm very impressed with it.
All right, very good. That's always good to hear as we show you our shot of Grand Isle. Wind's popping pretty good now. Todd was shaking. See the treetops. Although they're not in a rain, we've seen some pretty good squalls over that time period. So we're going to go back to the public as we work these cameras for you to, once again, this is St. Charles Street. You just saw Grand Isle, so it'll give you, I'm okay with this wind as long as the rain don't come with it. If you see these big squalls of rain, and we haven't, I'm going to knock on wood, we haven't had one in a while over the HTV studios. That doesn't mean they don't exist. And we're currently on the phone with AccuWeather trying to get that radar back up. Jay, and I don't mind that we're live. Can you give me an update on that so I can? Okay, all right. So they're on that, and they're trying to get that done. And let's take some calls and Jay, you could also roll in some of that footage that just came back in from Bayou DeLarge and other areas, Bayou Blue and other areas, so we'll just give people a general idea of the street flooding. And as soon as I said that, it starts raining here at the HTV studio. So here we go. Back to the phone lines. HTV, you're on. We're with the police chief of Houma and also sergeant of Houma. We're with Faulk and Todd Duplantis. What's your question or comment, please?
I just want to let the people know that they're closing Country Drive at the beginning due to 4 power lines being down. And I also want to let Mr. Duplantis know he was correct in the responders. They have responded very quickly to the scene within minutes.
Okay, so what road?
On Country Drive, in the beginning of Country Drive.
Okay, so 4 power lines are down.
Right.
Thank you for that information.
You're quite welcome. Keep up the good work, babe.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
HTV, welcome to the program. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hey, Martin, I know you don't like to call him twice, but the gentleman you had that just left?
Yes.
I was in Shoe Pit when I was going to get my chemotherapy, and he's right, that water was high in that area.
Okay.
Because it's a low-lying area, and I just wanted to let the people of Shoe Pit know that, and I'm going to just shout out to Miss Lou and tell Kyle, the perpetrator of the snakes, if you look to your left, that's the one that let the cat out the bag with Mr. Landry one day.
Somebody played a practical joke on him, huh?
No, you're the one that let the cat out the bag about Kyle being scared of snakes.
Well, I did, but you know, it is what it is. So.
Straight up. All right,
Tricky,
well, I just want
Martin
to
is scared of roaches, so I'd rather be
no.
scared of a snake than a roach, but
Well, I'm glad you were able to interject a little humor on the desk today.
Well, I got you. You know, that's me. That's my personality.
All right, thank you, Rick.
All right.
Bye-bye. HTV, welcome to the program. Go ahead, please. You're real low. Go ahead.
Hey, this is I'm calling. We on West Main, and the bayou's coming out in the front yard and stuff. And we wondering about that in the backyard. We wondering about like alligators and snakes and stuff.
All right. I think you could be fine on that particular point with alligators, snakes. I mean, you know, we live around snakes all the time, and snakes are going to be around, but you tend to see a few more of them in storm events because they come to higher ground. But I wouldn't panic or freak out over it. And, you know, like Kyle said, I'm not scared of snakes, but don't throw a roach at me for sure. But anyway, it's one of those things that we're just going to have to deal with. So take a deep breath on everything, people. You're going to be okay. Can we, what's that, Jason? Oh, I thought, okay, are you going to roll in some of that that footage that we have on Bayou Blue? Okay, roll that in, roll some of those camera crew footage, that way we can give people an idea. And this, once again, Grand Isle. You can see surf's up in Grand Isle, so erosion-wise, I'm sure they're getting hit.
yeah, they're getting a lot more wind activity than they were earlier, it's obvious.
Yeah, and of course, they've been having squalls since yesterday, the bigger ones. HTV, welcome to the program. You're on. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I live in Ashland North.
Right.
And yesterday I went into the store and I seen like a little red Nissan truck going to the pump station. I don't know if he turned the pump off, but Green County Road right over Ashland North is about to flood. And I was just wondering if he turned the pump off or what.
Well, no, I don't think the pump, trust me, they are manning the pumps officially, but what's happening right now is you just have the H&C is fairly high, Houma Navigational Canal. The bayous are all inundated with water because of the rain that we've had. So, you know, sometimes they do go out there and maintenance the pumps even during the storms, because some of the pumps may have a problem or may have something stuck in them or this or that. So they are constantly, and one thing I can say about the pump systems and what's been happening with them around this parish the last few storms is they have men on the ground, and they are being maintenance and they are being fixed as they go. So that might be what you're seeing.
Okay, because
I have no reason to believe it's anything negative. I can promise you that.
Right, because my daughter had went into the store earlier this morning, and she said like the cane fields was just operated with water. On the other side by the pump station, they had water everywhere. It's just waiting to come on the road. That's why I was asking if they had turned it off or what they have done, because I mean now they got water everywhere.
No, I can promise you that there are crews definitely working the pumps, and plus we have the parish president here just walking in. He could answer this, you know, straight from his administration. But the other thing is, and I want to remind everybody out there, we got plenty of water, plenty of rain, and the bayous are full. But keep in mind that as long as we're seeing shots, and you're gonna, at this point, I just want to brace everybody, you're gonna have some water, and you're gonna have some water in some businesses in the lower parts, and there's gonna be water. As long as we can keep it out the majority of the homes is the key. Like right here, you got water all around these homes, but it's not in the home. Right. So that's the goal. That always is the goal in a storm event, and we want to make sure that continues to happen.
Right.
I think she.
Okay?
Okay, well thank you.
Well, thank you. And we are joined, as we continue, we'll introduce him on camera, then we'll come back to the video. Parish President, once again, of Terrebonne Parish, Michel Claudet. Michel, welcome back, and I'm sure you have some more news for us.
Right. We had worsening conditions this morning with the winds that are coming in, and of course we've had high tides. Right now, a lot of the problems that we're experiencing have to do with the rising levels in the intracoastal. The rain gauge, or the gauge in Houma that's online that we check, actually broke yesterday. And so if we look at the LaRose gauge, which is right around where Bayou Lafourche in the intracoastal are, it went up almost 1 foot. Yesterday, around we had a 2.5 foot level in the intracoastal, and if that would be similar, that would be approximately 3.5 feet. Now remember, we're still not anywhere close to what Ike was.
Right.
Ike was close to 4.5 feet in the intracoastal.
Right.
And all the major protected areas are in there. Now, I still do not have any reports of any pump stations that are not functioning. I don't have any reports of anything that is a major problem, that other than in the lower portions of the parish where there's water coming in as a result of tidal events in unprotected levees. We almost had an overtopping right by the Dularge pump station that was right by Faulk Canal. And it's my understanding our public works crews have fortified that by putting dirt to prevent the water from overflowing into that pump station. They were supposed to go right after that to where on Dr. Beatrice Road that it was sheet flowing over. That's water that's gone into the Brady Road system that as a result of backing into through the ship channel and then going down Faulk Canal Road and actually getting into the Brady Road system that would be there. And so it's coming the back way in order to get in. I also want to mention to people, because I've had calls concerning the Montague area, and please understand that the lower areas that have maybe right on the bayous, they're getting water coming up, and people are wondering whether or not we're just throwing that water on them. But remember, Bayou Terrebonne connects to the intracoastal through at the Company Canal there. There's nothing we can do. As the intracoastal levels rise, so does that rise in that area. And truly, we're dependent in many areas because of the intracoastal. That's why we're seeing higher levels in Bayou Terrebonne that you can see out here along Little Bayou Black. All these areas that we know that in some way interrelated. Now, Martin, again, we've had massive amounts of rain, and I've never gotten the full reports, but certainly 15 to 20 inches over the last couple of days. And that's a lot more than we would have thought that we could have handled in a normal situation. Thankfully that they've been spacing out so that the pumps have been able to kind of get caught up. But if you have big feeder bands with this wet ground, and given the fact that those pumps have been running, that's something that we're going to, we potentially can have some real problems. The majority of our problems right now, though, are in the lower parts of the parish, because the feeder bands are coming in, the wind's pushing, and plus we had high tide.
Right.
Now, we're going to have low tide this afternoon, and generally it had been dropping, but because of these winds, we expect them to not be able to go out, and so I don't expect any water levels dropping. I don't think there's going to be any water levels dropping of any significance until sometimes tomorrow, and hopefully it'll be earlier, but this thing is not going fast. The weather report that we just got at 10:30 indicates that it's moving, but it's 3 miles an hour now. Now look, that's better than 1 mile, and that's better than 2 miles, but it's not the 30 or 40 mile an hour that I wished it would be.
You're right. Let's look at the rainfall amounts as you speak about that. Jay, give me some good eyes on that in the control room.
And while you're doing that, Martin, just a note.
Where right in this square area? All right, in the orange area, everybody watching, it's 8 inches in what time period, Jay? Okay, so this is an 8-inch area that has fallen. If you go towards Lafourche, that's a 10-inch area. So Michel, you're right. If you accumulate everything over the time frame of it, we've had some pretty substantial rainfall.
Well, what time period is that supposed to be? Because we had gauges that clearly showed 5 inches on Friday.
Yeah.
Then we had reports with people who have rain gauges in my OEP at over 10 inches yesterday.
Yeah, I'd
And
say
then
this
it's
is a
been-
24-hour period that you're
Oh,
seeing.
so that's the last 24 hours from right now?
Yeah.
That could potentially be correct, but,
Yeah.
Martin, I'm certain we're close to, 15 to 20 inches easily during this period. I want to mention a couple other things, too. Like somebody called early on Acorn Street, and again, just as I thought, I sent people out there to look at it, and it's completely governed by the Intracoastal, and there's not much that we can end up doing. We had reports on Texas Gulf Road out in Berg that they were having problems where they might have an overtop levee. Those reports turned out to be false. They did have a problem with that pump, but it's my understanding it's now operational. So there's not a real problem with that. Obviously, one of the things that helped in the Little Cayuse situation on, I'm trying to forget, I guess it was Saturday morning, was when they were able to open the gate at the bottom and let water out, but that's not a possibility right now because of the way the tides and the
Well, and the southern winds actually are the tides now, so
Correct.
they're keeping it big. But there you see,
And-
there's a training effect, Michel, that me and you talked about the minute we came on, which we did not want to happen, but unfortunately, and I'm going to say, unfortunately, we're in the training effect, but fortunately, it's not as much rain as I thought we'd get being in the training effect for whatever reason, but I would assume that is because some of this circulation is crawling upon land now, and it's not sucking up some moisture, so it's more of a training effect with diminished rainfall. But that's not to say we're not going to get one every now and then that wakes us up, but I would assume that's what's happening.
Right, but the thing I'm most hopeful for, at least they're indicating that it's going to be moving. And that's what I'm really, really pleased about, Martin. And truly, just since early this morning, conditions have seemed to deteriorate because we had the continual rise of tide, the water's pushing up, and I've had more reports, particularly from the Sheriff's Department and the lower parts of the parish. I have checked with the utilities section. There's not been many outages. There's been periodic ones. We had reports of, I think it was down trees and down power lines on Lower Country Drive, or it may have been Country Drive, but
Yeah,
in
Country
any
Drive
event-
had four power lines down, I think.
Right. In any event, those are the things that we're getting. But, Martin, I will say this, and I just want to brag on the Public Works section and the people throughout. The police department, the emergency responders, the people at our OEP, the Public Works section, I can assure you, they were out in this rain doing things all day yesterday. They worked till late last night because they were calling me up until about 10 o'clock, and they were there first thing this morning. And they're out in that rain again, addressing problems as they come through. And I just can't say enough to all the people for the parish and the people who assist the parish, because we have a lot of volunteers too, that come in and provide their resources, their time, and their effort to try to make Terrebonne the place that we want it to be.
And let me explain to the people out there also, as you see conditions not too good at the HTV studios outside. Jay, can we bring that map, what backup radar we have, till we get the other one up on the back screen? And let me just point, I just want to point at the circulation so that everyone can see it. General circulation seems to be here. So I would assume that it is partially over land. Are the reports, it's just been so crazy, Michel, the reports that you're getting, are they saying that most of the circulation is over land now?
That's what they've said earlier, and they said that it should starting to diminish the wind speeds.
All right, so that's a good thing. So the more this thing generally progresses, looks like probably this direction, then the rain, the feeder bands that are here will diminish also. But here's the kicker. Look at the winds. And until this thing pushes enough for these winds to come out of from west to east, you're gonna have a south wind in all these areas. Morgan City, Terrebonne Parish, Lafourche Parish, Grand out, you're constantly seeing that south wind. That's why your waters are high. When this thing moves up and this spin comes around, that's when the water gets pushed out. So that's what we're waiting to happen, but it's a slow mover. So the southerly winds will be there for a while. So long as the rain diminishes, that's going to be the kicker in this whole thing. If we don't have a whole bunch of rains, we do have a good fighting chance. So is that what you're thinking, Michel?
I very much agree. And Martin, one other thing I think people need to realize, each event we learn things that we can maybe do before the next event. It's difficult to do things during this type of event, and maybe we have to put some Band-Aids, but unfortunately, we can learn from that, construct the improvements that will prevent people in the future. But again, I think we have to consider that we're going to have to ride this out at least through tomorrow. And that's one thing that we will do, and we're not going to have a whole lot of relief until that time.
And I got to tell you, I appreciate you allowing the police to come up and take a seat here like the chairman of the board, because when people ask us questions about streets and all, we get an instant answer, and it's invaluable, because we don't have to track police down. They're right here to give the answer. So that helps quite a bit, and we certainly appreciate that.
Anytime you need any of my people that work with us, we all work together as a team. These guys do a great job for us, and we'll be happy. I'd love to share Public Works people, but I promise
no, you
I
need
can't
them.
possibly share one of those guys right now.
Only if the power goes out. We'll need those. So what we'll do, we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll have more on Bayou Time. We're taking phone calls. Phone lines are open, 879-1231. It's a wait-and-see attitude, people, but don't panic. Keep the faith. We're going to make it through. We'll be right back.